Hi, I'm Jasper. This video is about my search for the perfect Ampeg SVT sound. It started for me with finding this mid-70s SVT head, but then I still had to find a cabinet, and the cabinets available at that moment, it's around 2000, didn't impress me much. They often were super muddy and dull, and sometimes the quality was really bad. They were sometimes made from a particle board and the sound was horrible. In combination with this head, I was once able to play an old squareback cabinet from the early 70s and I was blown away. But they are really hard to find in a decent state. The speakers are blown often and have replacement speakers anyhow. So I just decided to build a cabinet myself, since the technique behind it is fairly simple. First I started with an 810 cabinet, but after a couple of years I decided to build two 410 cabinets. Since every two speakers have a separate chamber, the sound is totally comparable. Two 410s is way more practical, of course. You can carry one cabinet almost by yourself, way better than an 810. And you can use just one cabinet on a smaller gig or in the studio, for instance. The next step was finding a good replacement speaker. For a while I had Electro Harmonix speakers. They were really nice and warm, but a bit muffled. They lacked high end. So after some research I added two Jensen mod speakers, giving it more high end. And this really sounded killer. But then I bumped into 8 late 70s ceramic speakers from Ampeg, so original Ampeg, but they're made by Eminence. They were really good shape. I couldn't resist to buy those. And indeed they sound very warm, creamy, super vintage. But on stage often too muddy and they just didn't cut through the band. You couldn't hear myself properly. I found out that the older SVT cabinets from late 60s and early 70s, they used CTS alnicos instead of the Eminence ceramics, and a lot of people were raving about those, and I was lucky to find 4 of those from 1974. In this video I like to compare those old speakers to currently at 2018 that is, still available Eminence Legend reissue speakers. Mine are from 2010 I believe, but I guess they are still the same. I recorded all of the sessions with the same settings and the same setup. So just microphones, no DI. I dubbed some drums to make it a bit more musical, but later in the video I show the same clips but without the drums, if that's what you prefer. I supply shortcuts in the description of the video underneath. You can skip and you can easily skip to whatever section you want. Although I'm pretty much a vintage P-bass with flat wounds guy, I try to involve different playing styles with different sounds to give it a wider perspective. I also included some clips with distortion, and I think everybody will agree that the best distortion is just crank a tube amp. But with this 300 watt amp this would be unbelievable loud. Plus second, it could ruin my old alnico speakers, since the speakers are only 30 watts each. So I use the distortion of an Aguilar tone hammer instead, and I know a lot of people prefer something else, but this is the only thing I have. After the clips I will give some comments about the differences. Also try to compare what we're hearing through the speakers of your laptop or on your headphones. I hope headphones sounds better, of course. With my live experiences, because the speakers live on the stage are of course something different. After all of this I end the video with a timeline of the different speaker types Ampeg used and a short overview of the different cabinet types, if that's what you like, so more nerdy stuff. But now let's get started recording the two different speakers and the different circumstances. So this is it for the samples. I want to compare what you hear through the speakers or your headphone with my live experiences. I was really surprised by the difference recorded between the Legends and the alnicos. The Legends really way more MIDI and in your face, and the alnicos clearly more low end. And this is the same live, but what you don't get is the vibe the alnicos just give, or in general the A10, what an A10 and an SVT give, that you never can catch it the way you will feel it live. So I think everybody deserves at least to play once an old SVT with an old cabinet with loaded with alnicos, just to give you a reference, just to give you a clue what we're talking about. A lot of people just don't like it because it's not tight, it's not high-endy or whatever, but then we're settled, everybody knows where we're talking about. And for the others, the alnicos just gives you this warm over, not dominant, but creamy all over the stage and in the room. It spreads really evenly through the room without pushing. I don't have any problems with PA guys, but like I told you before, they tend to get muddy and blurry as soon as the circumstances are worse, and those circumstances are worse all the time. There's big subwoofers under the stage, or you're playing in a stony room, or whatever, or there's interference with an organ or with some other stuff. And then I think you need all the help you can get from a tight, more modern speaker, and then the Legends are a really good choice, and they still stay true to the vintage vibe, I think. At the moment I combine both, the four Legends on top for the MIDI and for the hearing, so to speak, and the low end comes from the alnicos, and they spread all over the room. That's a really nice combination at the moment, though I tend to go back to the total Legend setup, but that's for later. If you choose to combine speakers, that's what I did. So I have the Legends and the alnicos. You really should try. I tried those Legends before with the 78 speakers I had, the ceramics, and I don't know what, they cancelled each other out or whatever. It just didn't work, and I had connected them totally right, but the combination was really not working. So that's something you really should realize. I told you I had the late 70s ceramics before, and if you're planning just to record with the cabinet and the speakers, those are really good choice for recording. They are really smooth. They don't have this low-end bump like the alnicos have. They are just more even, and they give a really nice overall nice even sound. They're really good for recording, so that would be a really good choice for a studio or something. So, but more specific, the different styles, what I did, the Fingerstyle to start with. I played the Fingerstyle on the P bass, that's the sound I like. I often even turn the high end more down, so you get this really old schoolish airy sound. And for this, the alnicos are just gorgeous, although they miss this mid airy blowing sound a bit. So the combination what I have, I think, is killer for this kind of sound. But the alnicos give you the warm, deep feeling that's so precious, it's so nice. For the slapping, the alnicos show ideal curve. They have more low ends, more high ends, and less mids. That's what you would do with your EQ if you start slapping in general. But still, the alnicos have more low end, but are not tight. So I think you need more tightness. So I think a modern speaker is better for the slapping, just to keep the attack together, because it's super high attack. And that's the same with playing with a pick. You have such a huge attack. The speaker should be able to handle this. And if although the Legends kind of sound a bit nasty with the pick, the overall thing is that the tightness is just better. But still the alnicos sound killer, but the Legends keep it together a bit better, I think. If for the bridge, the bridge pickup on the Jacko-esque sound, there's, I think, no discussion that the Legends are just the better choice. Immediately give this frequency and this tightness that you want for this kind of sound. Although the alnicos sound really killer, and if you need to warm up your back pickup, then the alnicos can help. But in general, I think the Legends would be a better choice. And then finally the overdrive sound. What I feel if the sagging with the overdrive is just so nice and warm with the alnicos. It's just too good to be true. That's really a nice feeling, and it's the overdrive compresses your sound, so you don't need this tight stuff like without the overdrive. So the alnicos really are really nice. But the Legends really do the job well, but they can get nasty too. The overdrive getting in this MIDI harsh frequency range. So, but then the alnicos really good choice. But talking about choice, of course, it's really hard to find the alnicos. The speaker cabinets, the old squarebacks or the old slantback cabinets are still available and offered often, but you don't know what's in there. You should always check, of course, whether it's the ceramics or the alnicos, and in which state the speakers are. That's really an issue, because often they are just worn out or they are reconed, which is not a bad thing per se. Or there's just also already not original speakers in there anymore, so you should always check. What I did, I sold the speakers separate, but they are hard to find and they are low power rating, so you should treat them with respect. And if you share your amp on a festival, for instance, with somebody else, you should really trust them that they know what they are doing. So if you don't want to risk the chance of somebody blowing your speakers, you end up using newer speakers. What is missing, of course, is currently available Ampeg stuff, comparing currently available stuff to the stuff I have, to the old vintage stuff and the reissue Legend stuff. I'm not a collector and I don't have the money to buy all these different cabinets. I hear raving stuff about heritage cabinets made in the US, and I also believe the quality nowadays is pretty stable in the quality of the classic stuff, for instance, and I think that's made mainly in the Far East. That used to be not a good sign, but I don't think that's the case anymore. Yeah, this is the end of the official part, so to speak. Please check out my bass course on TrueFire. I have a blues bass course on TrueFire. And check out my current bands, the Jimmy Reiter Band or Electro Blues Society. I play mainly in Europe, but there's a bunch of stuff online and you can buy the CDs or the singles or whatever you want to do. There's a lot of stuff out there. So thank you for watching. Now I go to the more nerdy part. I'll take you in detail through the cabinets. I'll show you what's in there, the damping and how I constructed it, my experience with the other speakers. I did quite some research on the internet, on eBay and on TalkBass, really helpful, and I collected a bunch of pictures of speakers and cabinets of all different dates, and I made an overview. So I want to take you through this timeline of the speakers and timeline of the cabinets from 1996 till 1980, so to speak, or 85, because, well, whatever, that's I'll show you later. But this is the end of the official part. Thank you very much. So here they are, the two victims lying on their back, to show you what's inside. So first take a look at the Holy Grail, the alnico. This is the old one. You see 137, that means CTS. And then you see 7424, so that's the 24th week in 1974. Also says 32 ohms. Clearly different shape than the magnet. It is the alnico magnet. I'm not sure whether they were able to make round alnico magnets, but this is how it looked, like a whole horseshoe magnet. The gasket is nice and brown. I'll show you the front. I can show you another speaker, of course. So it's like here. From the outside, I don't see any difference with the later Eminence ceramic speakers. So you really have to open the cabinet to see what's in there. The same voice call, 2-inch. The speaker itself is a bit lighter. This is like 2.6 kilos. That will be 5 pounds. So the ceramic ones are like 3.1 kilos. That's like 6.5 pounds, I guess. The wiring is all parallel. Sorry for the lousy soldering. It's not my best job, but it's what happens. So this cable comes directly from the external plug, and this one goes to the next speaker. And all parallel. So 42 ohms goes to 8 ohms in one cabinet. Here it is, the nice alnico. So, and the replacement cabinet, or the same cabinet with the replacement speaker. So this is the Legend 810 Eminence speaker. Where does it say 810? Does it say somewhere? Well, doesn't matter. It's a bit heavier than the alnico for sure. This is the front. It's a bit bluish with a bluish cone. And different, well, it looks just a bit different. It's clearly heavier than the other one. But this is the way it looks. You still can get them in 2017. So hopefully they stay on the market for a little while. So my first 810 cabinet, I had those in there. They were specially made for the SVT. I think they were the first replacement speakers you could get for an Ampeg. So it was 32 ohms. Electro Harmonix. They don't make them anymore. They were. I bought those in 2003, I think. It's a relabeled Eminence speaker. You can see the. Well, here it says 10 SVT, 10 inch for the SVT. And then there's 67 and a whole bunch of other figures, but that's the speaker code for Eminence. So it's made in the Eminence factory, and I think it's pretty much like the speakers Ampeg used at that moment in their classic cabinets. In general, it was warm and deep, but pretty much muffled. So a lot of people combined this one with the Jensen mod speaker. That's this one. This is not called mod yet, but now they call them Jensen mod. M-O-D. Also 32 ohms, super light. Smaller voice call. You cannot see it, but it's 1.25 inch instead of 2 inches, and it's like 1.6 kilos instead of 3, so it's really light. And that's, to be honest, also how it sounds. So it's cheap. It's a cheap speaker. It's less than 50 bucks, and it sounds thin, but it adds high end. So combined with this is the Electro Harmonix, it was a nice combination. So like 6 of those, the Electro Harmonix, and 2 of those, to add some top end. That was a really nice combination. So let's have a peek inside. Like I said, it's all separate 210 compartments. So this is how it looks. So this is the upper one. This is just, here you see the wall in between the upper and the lower compartment. This is the upper wall inside. There's some light, yeah. And the other side. And the speaker you can see. That's it. And that's the power of the thing. It's closed, and it's not only a closed cabinet, it's also small compartments. So every speaker has got its own section, and you can tell how effective it is by pushing one speaker and then looking at the other. You can see it comes up. So if you can see it, I push the right one, and can you see it? You see the left one coming up. I push the right one now, and the other one comes up. So that's how strong the power of the vacuum is. So so that's super effective in the sound. For the alnico I only use damping material in the back. That's what they did in the old days too. I got this mineral wool, and it's this stuff is a bit thicker than they used to have. This is like 2 inches thick. And this is the other cabinet with the Eminence, with the Legend, because the Eminence is a bit colder and a bit more mid-heavy. I made this one. I have more damping. I have damped every wall, not the front wall, but the back and the sides. You see? So that makes it warmer, I think. But that's not the biggest difference. That's not a super huge influence, but it does influence it a little. So just a short history. In 1969 they started the SVT concept. So one 300 watt tube amp, full tube amp head with 2 cabinets, 2 810 cabinets. The cabinet in the beginning was this square back, totally coffin-like, totally angled, no towel bars or wheels or whatever, only 3 side handles, so really hard to carry around. And then about 74 they started to make this cabinet, and it looks still the same nowadays. So this concept is seen as pretty strong. It's got this towel bar in the top, so and you can tilt it, and it's got wheels in the back, so you can easily move it around. Still the same weight, of course. I think the tilt back one is a bit bigger, wider, but just a little, couple of centimeters, a bit bigger than the square back. So, and now the speakers. They started with those now nasty looking corroded chrome speakers. I don't think they had any codes, maybe they were. I didn't find any examples on the internet with codes, so they were from 1969, but you cannot date them any further. Soon they were followed up by those black ones. This one is from week number 35 in 1969. I guess you know how to date those. The first 2 rows are the manufacturer codes, and the 3rd row is the important one for us. First it says 137, that means CTS, and then it says 6935 in this case, and that's 1969, week number 35. So those were black ones, and in 74 I think about, followed up by a chrome one again, and then with a brown speaker gasket. This is my speaker. If there's any sound difference, if anybody did some research, I couldn't find anything about the difference between those 3 types. They're all the alnico ones, and for me they look the same. I have no clue if they also sound the same. So, but this last one is from 1974, week number 24. So then production went to Eminence, and I think in the really early Eminence days there were alnico Eminences too for the SVT, but I think that's pretty rare. I think they started to make the ceramic ones pretty soon. This one is from 77, week number 38, and as you can see it's got a square magnet, so maybe some people are fooled and think this is the alnico one because of the weird shape, but that's how they did it in those days. Only later they started to make the round magnets, but it's a ceramic magnet. The first edition has got this chrome color, or non-finished, and then a bit later they start to make those black ones, but again, I don't know if there's any sound difference. I don't think so. So the second one is from 1979, week number 20. And in 1980, the whole company, Ampeg, was sold to Japan, MTI. And they started to, they continue to make the same kind of stuff, although there's a lot of discussion about the quality. But I think they used the same speaker magnets for a couple of years. And in 1986, then the Ampeg was sold by St. Louis Music SLM. They bought the whole company, so that's where a new era started. So this is really it. Thank you so much for watching and listening. check out once again my bass course on True Fire and my 2 bands, Jimmy Reiter and Electro Blues Society. Thank you.